All right. I see some people trickling in. We'll wait for a couple more minutes and get started. So, yeah, hello and welcome everybody to our webinar. Today's topic is From Data to Dollars, Tips from a CEO on How to Monetize Your Data. My name is Zalak Trivedi. I'm a product manager here at Sigma. I've been here for about 2 years and I lead our embedded analytics product. With me, we have our guest and the star of the show, Erik Mitchell. Erik, would you mind introducing yourself here?
Sure. Thanks, Alec. So my name's Erik Mitchell. I'm the CEO of Seek. Been with Seek for about 5 years now. Prior to that, spent 15 years in the retail and CPG analytics space, helping other companies do more with their data and analytics capabilities and monetize data.
Amazing. It's great to have you here on the webinar. I'm sure the audience will learn a lot from you today. Just a quick overview of our agenda. We're going to talk about what is Sigma and embedded analytics. We'll go and do a deep dive on Seek, and then we'll have a fireside chat, which is where we'll be asking Erik a lot of questions about data monetizations. And we'll have some time at the end for audience Q&A. So please send your questions in the chat, and we'll address them at the end. All right, so let's talk about what is Sigma. Sigma is an intelligence platform that enables users to analyze the information at a high level via dashboards and also get to the underlying data in a spreadsheet-like interface. These are the 5 main pillars of what Sigma is. Number 1 is live cloud exploration. So we allow you to explore all of your data by connecting directly to the cloud data warehouse without storing any data. This means you are always querying the latest data and looking at the live insights. The second is interactive intelligence. We allow you to uniquely incorporate your own data into the dashboard so you can provide additional context and really tell a complete story. Um, we have this functionality called input tables where you can do scenario modeling, forecasting, add your external market data, and ask questions if you need be. Uh, Third is closed loop execution. So unlike traditional analytics and BI tools that we've known to love, where once you actually look at the insight, it really dies there. Sigma lets you take the action immediately on your insights by leveraging the modern data stack ecosystem. Next is augmented intelligence. So we've incorporated AI into the platform now, which allows you to do natural language search. We provide a really easy way to convert English into Sigma generated chats, which makes everyone more productive and makes AI accessible. And lastly, we have cloud scale and security. We really inherit all the permissions and authentications from the warehouse and provide additional access controls through Sigma's robust security features. Let's talk a little bit about embed and why Sigma's embed is one of the best that is out there. Yeah, and there are 4 main things where everything that we talked about in the previous slide still stands true for an embed, where we are extending the power of Sigma to your application when you're embedding Sigma into it. The 4 main things why Sigma stands out is number 1, we provide a lot of flexible paths to data monetization, and this is what this webinar is really about. If you see an opportunity to monetize your existing data offering or build out new offerings to unlock new revenue, Sigma is the place to be. So we help you really understand and deploy and monetize your data with ultimate flexibility that you have. Second is time to market, really. Uh, you have new data offerings and you want to be first to the market to gain a competitive edge. The faster you can provide these insights in the market, the more advantageous it is for you. You get customer feedback faster, and this feedback informs trends. And these trends really give you a competitive edge. This embedding process with Sigma requires minimal dev effort, and once it's implemented, uh, it's really easy to maintain and scale it out. Number 3, it's the tailored user experiences, right? So you can embed Sigma into any product really in where you want to provide analytics to your end users. But depending on the level of skill of your user, you may want to provide a pre-canned dashboard. As your user gets familiar with the interface. Maybe you want them to do explorations and then eventually create their own dashboards. And all of these experiences can be provided through a Sigma embed. And lastly, it's security at scale. So we have we provide data security and we provide row level security through multi-tenancy, and we integrate with your own authentication. So any existing authentication we integrate with because we have signed URLs. So that's a really high level about Sigma and what embeds are. I'm going to turn it over to Erik to talk a little bit about Seek.
Sure. Thanks, Alec. So Seek is an analytic application platform scaled for the cloud. And really, our goal overall is to build a platform that enables people to easily discover, develop, distribute, and consume analytics applications in the cloud. And it's not just for one particular industry, it's not just for one particular use case, but think of this as a place where you could get analytics apps across any industry, any business use case, built by experts in a turnkey manner. And really the main reason why we've built Seek is because we're on a mission to solve the 4 main pain points that we've learned from each one of our customers in terms of what holds them back from realizing ROI from their analytics investments. And those 4 things are listed here on the slide. So the first one being, many of our customers simply say, we don't have the time to do things like acquire data, blend data, visualize data, let alone build data science models on top of that. They mostly don't have the time because the second reason is they don't have the people. So if you don't have the time and you don't have the people, and they struggle to find the right combination of business expertise and let's say data science capabilities or visualization capabilities, becomes really difficult to build any of these things in that fast manner, as Zalak mentioned earlier. The third reason that we hear from our customers that's holding them back from realizing value is this concept of third-party data, and people saying we don't have all the data that we need. It's hard to ingest, it's hard to blend, it's hard to model, and most of all, it's really expensive. So when you think about those 3 things, really many organizations try to solve that with this 4th pillar here, which is their budget. The challenge is that, to build teams, to bring in third-party data, to buy all the technology, simply, again, becomes really expensive. And so most of our customers would say they're being held back by not having the time, not having the people, not having the data, or not having the budget. And so what our platform is built to do is transform what we call the last mile of analytics from these mountains of data, standard dashboards, kind of disparate teams, to an environment that really delivers purpose-built turnkey applications built by industry experts. And when we think about our platform overall, the goal here is to connect application developers, which you see on the left here, with application consumers on the right in a single platform. And that single platform in the middle is what we call Seek Insight Cloud. It has 3 main pieces of it. Seek Insight Cloud as the hosted, call it app store, the Seek App Factory in the middle that enables our teams and our customer teams to build applications rapidly and at scale. And then our proprietary data modeling capability called Seek Enrich, which is built to blend industry data sources together and automatically attach them to things like, your sales data or your location data or things like that. So our platform is really focused on delivering those capabilities in a single platform, which can take what normally would be a buy, and from a technology perspective, and make it feel like a build. You're delivering turnkey applications with the expertise at scale on top of curated data and at a streamlined cost. And the most important thing about this, and the most impactful thing about this, is that it's all built with embedded Sigma. So as Zalak plays this video, what you'll see is a little preview of what Insight Cloud looks like when it comes to life. And you'll see, clicking into a particular application. This one is what we call our location enricher, built by our team to help people understand things like demographics and weather and brand affinities and propensities, et cetera, around specific locations. So if I said, hey, I'm interested in learning about, retail locations in a particular city and how things like weather or events are going to impact those stores in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks or months, this application allows you to bring all that data together in a simple turnkey manner and deliver it via a scalable embedded capability through Sigma. So this capability is built on top of billions of rows of data. It is infinitely scalable. It is cloud native. And we're able to leverage data at the most granular levels because of the capabilities that Sigma enables us to deliver within our platform.
That is pretty powerful. You said billions of rows of data.
Billions of rows of data.
Wow, and this is all live querying on top of the warehouse, right?
Exactly. Yep.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's not just one of the other amazing parts is that it's not just one single data source. So again, as you look at that particular demo, we talk about billions of rows of data. It's billions of rows of weather, billions of rows of demographics, billions of rows of foot traffic or brand affinities or things like that, all being processed in a live query manner, directly accessible by our customers, all enabled by Sigma's capabilities.
That is pretty powerful. Let's go into the next section, which is the fireside chat, which I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience members are super excited about. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. So Erik, tell me about the decision process. Why did you decide to actually buy Sigma versus build this product on your own?
That's a great question. I think as a leader within our business, one of our questions we have to ask internally to our teams is, what pieces of our platform do we truly want to own from an IP perspective and from a competitive advantage standpoint? And I think, what we realized early on is that our competitive advantage is our ability to deliver applications at scale and to develop them in a rapid manner on top of this curated data layer. And so as we looked at the capabilities we needed to help enable those, everybody loves the front end visualization capabilities that the market has. And so when we sat back and said, what do we want to spend our engineering time on? We really decided to focus on building out a rapid application factory behind the scenes rather than trying to rebuild BI and visualization capabilities, because we knew that platforms like Sigma existed in the market.
Makes sense. And while you're evaluating these different products, who did you run into and why did you choose Sigma?
Yeah, it's a great question. So coming from the analytics background over the last 15 or 20 years, obviously there's a couple tools that immediately come into play. So, as you think about the big names in the industry, obviously there's Sigma, there's Power BI, there's Tableau, ThoughtSpot, et cetera. And then there's even open source tools like Superset, where you could theoretically build with sort of an accelerated head start. So as we went through the process, really we kind of laid out our four major options, which I would say were Sigma, Tableau, Superset to help use an open source platform to build on our own, or in some cases we evaluated ThoughtSpot as well. And as we started to evaluate those, some of our biggest decision criteria were simply things like scale. Right. Can you operate on billions of rows of data? And what's interesting about Seek is prior to becoming the application company that we are today, we were actually a consulting firm helping clients implement these solutions for many different industries and many different use cases. So we've run into these products in the past. And I think, we knew right off the bat there were going to be some that really struggled with scale. Right. So, from experience, we knew that platforms like Power BI would have a tremendous challenge with the scale. Okay. Anytime that we were asked to build capabilities within Power BI with customers in the past, it required a super painful process, which is building aggregate tables behind the scenes and then connecting each individual piece of your dashboard to one particular aggregate table. And so you'd have hundreds of tables powering, 10 dashboards. And it was a nightmare to manage. Other tools like Tableau, I've been a huge fan of Tableau for 10 years. A huge user of Tableau in my past as well. Love what Tableau offers as a platform, except for the fact that we knew that it wouldn't scale as well. That's another challenge that we knew would simply eliminate Tableau from our consideration set. And so Tableau was one that, again, there were people on our team that have used it in the past, have really strong skill sets. It was just we started to test it, some of the scale that we were using, and it simply couldn't keep up.
Yeah, I think we see this a lot in our current customers where when they're migrating away from Tableau, one of the main reasons is scale. So you hit it right on.
Exactly. And I think, so as we looked at scale, really the two options that are marketed as having the ability to scale would be Sigma and ThoughtSpot. And as we thought about the user experience that we wanted to enable in combination with the scale, that's where it really came down to our user experience and our users saying, hey, we still want the functionality that we're used to having in tools like even Excel.
Mhm.
And so how do we keep our institutional knowledge of tools like that, not have to completely shift our mindset in terms of how we think about analytics, and still deliver a scalable experience? And again, we've tested implementations of ThoughtSpot in the past with customers. The concept sounds great. The challenge is it's really difficult to implement in reality. And so we knew that user experience was not going to be a fit for our platform. So I think as we looked at things like scalability, user experience, frankly, the speed of development and features that get released by these platforms, Sigma was head and shoulders above the other ones.
Definitely. I think we've had a lot of success stories of our customers who had an idea and wanted to build something really fast, and Sigma had helped them deploy. And in a couple of months, they were looking at like 7-figure revenue streams. So it kind of aligns really well with some of the other customer stories as well.
Yeah, we've loved that. Sigma has been a fantastic partner to us, and so it's interesting because from the Seek side, we're both a partner and a customer.
Right. Yeah.
And
You were
so,
a partner before the customer.
exactly. Yeah. So it was really interesting to be on the partner side and all of a sudden recognize all the pieces of the puzzle that Sigma could fill and all the value that we were seeing customers get from it. So we knew that we had to jump over and leverage Sigma as our front end as well.
That is amazing. Let's talk a little bit about data monetization. What does data monetization mean to you?
Yeah, I think if we rewind back 5 years ago and we think about the market overall as platforms like Snowflake really started to gain traction, the AWS marketplace started to gain traction, things like that. I think everyone's initial thought of data monetization was, hey, we're being asked today to deliver these feeds in some sort of extract process.
Right.
And so the concept 5 years ago of data monetization was purely that. It was monetizing data. And it has continued to do that over the last couple of years. I think the challenge is you still run into the things that I talked about before, which is people say, we don't have the time, we don't have the people, and we don't have all the data we need to actually create solutions. And so as we think about how that term and how that meaning is shifting now, the way that we look at data monetization is more so around the concept of solution or app monetization.
Right.
And it's the ability to use the data to actually drive an insight and to drive an action. And so that's where we see the market shifting, is less so amassing huge, conglomerates of data, and more so buying the data that they need, that, by the way, is still billions of rows.
Right.
And then turning it into a solution.
That makes sense. You're right. I think the time and the people factors are really crucial, where businesses are trying to run really fast to achieve their goals, and they don't necessarily have time to build this bespoke solutions. So I think thinking about data monetization as an app monetization strategy is actually, it's more conducive like to the future of any of the company. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think one of the challenges we saw from providers is, frankly, providers struggled to understand how to price their data.
Right.
And so, what you ran into was this tension between the consumers and the providers, where the providers were essentially saying, hey, if I'm going to sell you a feed, I need to charge you for every possible combination of solution that I could have provided you. and therefore, again, the feeds just become really expensive. And so people started to back off. Initially, the top 5 companies in any industry can afford to go buy millions and millions of dollars worth of feeds.
Right.
But you're missing 80% of the market by selling super expensive feeds. So I think that's an interesting thing that has led people to say, hey, it might not be all about monetizing the data, but monetizing solutions instead.
Right. And it's also when you're viewing this data in an application, an embedded application, you are pretty much seeing the art of the possible. Because if someone gives me a huge data set and they ask me that figure this out yourself, it's going to be incredibly difficult. But if I see what's possible, it makes the story a lot more compelling for why this data is actually super useful for my business. So I see that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's where what we've focused on is helping enable, again, the industry experts to use the data in a manner that makes sense for the end user to deliver an application that, to your point, shows the art of the possible. And I think, as we think about examples in our own customer base, it's people who have said, hey, listen, I've had this feed or I've had access to an extract for 10 years. And to your point, Zalak, I couldn't see the art of the possible because it was simply a database table. And
Right.
most business users would say, I don't know how to write SQL, so I can't get anything out of that database table. But the second that you take an industry expert and take billions of rows and, for example, say, hey, around your retail stores, there's baseball tournaments or there's concerts coming up and the weather's going to be great. And therefore, you as a sports drink company or you as a sunflower seed company should think about increasing your stock levels at the stores around these events. And so, giving somebody the insight 3 weeks before those events are going to happen allows them to take an action and push additional inventory, generate incremental revenue. Whereas in the past, it'd just be a giant table of numbers.
That's true. It's all about the closed loop execution, really. Like, what is the use of this insight if you're not able to take an action on it? So I
Yep,
think that's pretty spot on. Uh,
exactly.
and kind of looping back on one of the things you said, if the pricing piece is also incredibly important, because with Sigma and Seek combined now, you can almost have an a la carte of different templates, essentially, that you can have, and you can price it accordingly, right? With uh, the workbook or the dashboard being the product itself, and then the experience within the dashboard, as in this user can only view it, or this user can do more than that, and like that kind of a la carte in the amount of dashboard that they have access to versus what they can do. I think it makes up for a really compelling pricing proposition as well.
Yeah, what we love about Sigma's capability is the ability, again, to your point, to enable our customers to have different levels of interaction. So with any team, obviously, you're going to have the business analysts that need to view and maybe need to create their own custom chart or something like that. And then you're going to have the power users that can build on their own. One thing that's really exciting for us is Sigma's upcoming Explore mode.
Yeah.
And the ability to leverage that within our platform to allow people to say, you know what, the problem with many legacy solutions is the fact that what I get is what I get, and it's a black box and I can't do anything else with it. And what Sigma has enabled us to do is say the value that we are generating is really, again, the action and the insight coming out of the application. Sigma enables us the ability to not only give them a great user interface right off the bat, but also with things like Explore mode allows us to enable their teams to build on top of it as they see fit. So it
Yeah,
gives them that flexibility.
that's super. Yeah, we've just launched Explore mode, and it's great to hear this feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, we are excited about it.
Talk to us about the strategy, and like, what have you learned so far as you shifted from being a consultant to now having a full-blown app that is monetizing the data.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I would guess that most consultants, we experienced this when we were a pure consulting firm, get asked very similar questions over and over and over again. And our challenge when we were a consulting firm was simply we didn't have the tech team and the tech stack to actually build out applications at scale and support them. Right. I think, and part of that fear was we didn't have a front end, we didn't have a portal, we didn't know how to build that. And so as we thought about, the use cases that we were developing with all of our customers were highly valuable and for the most part, highly scalable across the industry. And so as we thought about transitioning to a software business, it can be intimidating up front, but I think when you bring in partners that are best in breed in what they do, like a Snowflake or a Sigma,
Mhm.
I think, and really focus on where we can add value, which is bringing that expertise into an application at scale. That was something that we felt we could take on. And what's interesting about the first 12 months of delivering this software is that it works. And the delivery times for our customers have gone down by 10 to 12x. Our speed to insight has increased tremendously. We're getting solutions in people's hands in less than a week, and they are taking action in less than 2 weeks. And so as you think about their ability to execute on it from a consulting perspective, some of those projects would have taken us 3 to 6 months. And so being able to deliver those in 3 to 6 days has been an incredible opportunity for us. And hopefully other consulting firms could take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, look at the impact here, right? The impact at multiple levels where you are creating an impact, and your customers who are using this are able to create impact in their companies in like really short amount of time, whereas it would have taken months or years in the past. Uh,
Exactly.
that is pretty powerful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not just things like, a lot of people think of software as tools that can help save time, right? And that is a benefit of this. Obviously, things like reducing development times from 3 to 6 months to 3 to 6 days. That's definitely a piece of it. But I think what's interesting is now, if you think about it, you take 6 months, let's call that 180 days.
Mhm.
If we develop and deliver within 6 days, you now have 174 more days of the year to capture increased revenue.
Yeah.
So it's not just the cost savings of having people spend time. It's now the opportunity of saying, I have an additional 6 months to actually generate revenue in my business because I was able to get to an insight fast.
Yeah, and that creates that competitive edge, right? Like time is more than money in some cases.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the challenge that a lot of people run into today is that they feel like building things like proprietary data science models is
Mhm.
their competitive advantage. And I think in many cases, there are certainly industries where that is the case, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But what I would say is in the vast majority of cases, your competitive advantage is speed. And your customer is likely going to care more about how many more questions you can answer for them rather than your model being 1% better than somebody else's, right? If I say my model's 1% better, there is value in that. If I say I can answer 10 questions in the same time that it takes my biggest competitor to answer one, that's a lot more value.
Yeah, I think one of the things that our CEO mentions time and again is that if you are in the business of ER, which is like better, faster, stronger, you are potentially not going to have a competitive advantage. But if you're objectively different, like it's binary, it's 0 or 1,
Yep.
then you win. And in this scenario, like having time gives you that advantage,
Yes,
which other will never have because they're spending months and months on something.
exactly. And again, it's more than just dollars. It's more than just time savings. It's the reputational benefit, the relationship building with our customers and their customers. It's our customers being able to establish themselves as the go-to partner
Right.
because of the speed. And so I think focusing on speed is a big aspect of it.
Well said. Talk to me about how did the Sigma team, so talk about the partnerships, products, the support team that you've interacted with so far has been impactful in your journey with Sigma.
Yeah, I would say again, I can't reiterate enough the support that we've gotten from the Sigma team. I think, from a partnership perspective, from a development perspective, it has just been unmatched from anything I've experienced in the past. And again, I've worked really closely with other software platforms in the past. And most of it is, submit a ticket and a couple weeks later, you'll get an acknowledgement that somebody has at least picked up the ticket, et cetera, et cetera. If we start on the development side for our team, again, as we continue to build out applications and continue to build out a more robust front end for our customers, having direct interaction with the Sigma team has been just infinitely valuable to us. And what I don't mean by that, again, is a ticket system. We have direct relationships with the developers. We have direct relationships with the product leads. And to your point earlier, we've submitted product ideas and had them turned around in 2 weeks. And so, the ability for the Sigma team to develop at the speed that we're developing has been tremendously valuable to us. We haven't experienced that with other software platforms. On the partnership side, the partner team at Sigma is phenomenal. The sales team at Sigma is phenomenal, and helping us understand where their customer pain points are, where Sigma customers are seeing opportunity and seeing value, has given us an opportunity to partner to go provide those solutions. And so, getting the right visibility, getting the right use cases, getting the right ideas, and talking directly to the people that are impacted by these day in and day out has been amazing for us. It truly does feel like it's interesting, because if you think about, every software company's partner programs, some of them are partner programs that don't really feel like partner programs. They feel like more of just another sales avenue for the software.
Right.
In this case with Sigma, it's a true partnership. There's value being delivered on both sides, and we value that tremendously.
That is great to hear. I'm sure David Porter and JT would
We
really
love David Porter and JT. They've been phenomenal.
awesome. Talk to me about how other consultants and data providers like you in the past should think about monetizing the data and creating the data products. I think it will be super useful for the audience to know your experience and your tips on this.
Yeah. I think again, if I were to look back on Seek Data as the consulting firm that we had, the biggest light bulb in my head that then led us to go on the journey that we're on is recognizing where we truly provided value.
Right.
And if you think about any of the problems that we were solving, again, there's a data aspect of it, there's a technology aspect of it, but there's the ability to create insights and to create an action. And I think, what I would challenge consulting firms to think about today is, what is the value that you are providing, and can you monetize that in a scalable way? I think, when we look back and we say, okay, to use the retail example, the retail world is filled with point of sale data,
right,
and great providers. We weren't going to be differentiated, to your point earlier, in the data space, but we had great partners so we could work with. From a technology perspective, Snowflake is a fantastic partner of ours, and again has, in my opinion, one of the best data warehouse capabilities and data platform capabilities in the market. We weren't going to differentiate ourselves trying to build something there, but we could leverage them again as the engine to power what we were doing.
right.
And the visualization side, again, Sigma, best in breed visualization platform that allows us to build applications at scale. I think when you truly think about where you provide value, and it's turning that data on that technology into value, into an action that then can be visualized through a platform like Sigma, you can really start to determine whether that area where you provide value is scalable.
Okay.
And I think, if I think about consulting firms, again, there are many, many consulting firms that have use cases that they do over and over and over again. I would highly encourage those leaders to think about how they could productize that type of solution. And that's one of the reasons why we built Seek, is to enable those consultants to build on our platform and do the same thing and see the same success that we are seeing from a technology perspective.
That is great. In one last question, and we can turn over this to the audience. What excites you most about Sigma?
I would say, again, it's the ability to develop and deliver enhanced product features in such a rapid pace. I think, again, as we think about any business that we've talked about, speed is the competitive advantage. And Sigma has shown us the ability to deliver at a pace that other software companies are not delivering. And so as we think about the front end experience of our platform, which is critical, by the way, to our success, we want our users to experience the best, the most enhanced features, the most forward-looking features, et cetera. And partnering with Sigma enables us to be excited about what we can deliver to our customers in the future, because we know that Sigma is working on the best leading edge features on the Sigma platform. And so then we can focus where we really provide value and trust that Sigma is going to deliver, immense value on top of that.
Yeah, I think as Sigma, I think we are very much aligned with this vision as well, where we see the data warehouses like Snowflake and Databricks being the back end of the applications of the future, and Sigma being like the front end of the applications of the future. So really excited about that. I'm gonna check out some audience questions, and let's see. I have a question here which asks, how do you control Snowflake costs when you have an application that continuously queries the warehouse?
Yeah, I think, and Zalak, obviously you can chime in on this one as well. I think one thing that we've learned is that Sigma actually does a really, really good job of being very efficient with the queries that go back to Snowflake, and then enabling caching within the Sigma platform that then mitigates some of that Snowflake consumption. So what's interesting is even some of our customers that have jumped on and said, hey, we're expecting, X dollars of Snowflake compute to come along with the application, they're seeing in some cases 30% of what they thought it was going to cost.
Wow.
Because of Sigma's ability to, cache and be super efficient with the way that it queries the Snowflake database. Variable costs are everybody's worst nightmare, by the way. But that's the world that we live in. I think getting people comfortable with the idea that variable costs are here to stay is important. But I think, again, understanding how you can leverage technologies like Sigma that most effectively and most efficiently leverage that variable cost is critical. And I think speaking to some of the experience with some of the other technologies, again, some of the other technologies would say that they have the ability to control Snowflake costs. In many cases, what they're doing is either requiring you to pull extracts, which then limits your ability to go live query,
Right.
obviously, or they are creating, like I said, a tremendous amount of summary tables, which then actually ends up increasing your compute costs,
Right.
as one particular click or one query can actually set off a chain of events that queries from 100 different tables within your environment. So yeah, I would say, again, Sigma's ability to efficiently leverage Snowflake compute has been huge for us.
That is great. Yeah, we have several features that we have right now in the product, and what we're working towards that will help you at least always know how much Sigma is costing you, like in Snowflake credits. We have all the monitoring templates, we have materializations, we have a lot of technology that is built where if we already have the results where we don't requery, so it reduces the cost. So there's a lot of smaller optimizations that are also coming up in the near future. I see one more question here. What tips do you have for someone just starting to monetize the data?
Man, that's a great question. I would say tip number one is spend a lot of time thinking about your pricing. And I would say, obviously, you don't want to give away your value for free. At the same time, I think what we've seen in the market is that everybody is exhausted from being told that every solution is $1 million.
Yeah.
And that every data set is $1 million. And so, it's interesting as we talk to customers and we explain to them how we are bringing some of the best data into our applications through our Seek and Rich capability and delivering those at a streamlined cost. They get really excited about the concept of, let's say we have a provider that has a data feed, let's say that's 1,000 columns wide. To buy that data set today might be a 7-figure deal. What we've done is we've taken the 10 columns that are needed for a particular application and embedded those 10 columns into the application and then reduced the cost significantly because you're only paying for 10 columns instead of 1,000.
Definitely, yeah.
And, thinking about, if you're trying to monetize your data, I would say thinking about ways to make the buying process more efficient and more streamlined through not making people pay for 1,000 columns, I think would be one of my biggest piece of feedback. Everyone is just exhausted from really expensive data. So I would just keep that in mind as you think about monetizing data in particular.
Makes sense. One last question here. As a CEO, what are your thoughts on AI? I think do you think the hype is real? And what do you think is the real solution it's going to offer your business?
Yeah, I think the hype is real when it comes to automation and speed. So Where I believe that AI can be tremendously helpful is, again, helping people realize speed and their competitive advantage. So, automating kind of standard tasks, automating analysis in some form or fashion can be really helpful with AI. I think also, so the way that I think about it is in our particular world, there's two ways to leverage AI. There is, excuse me, there's leveraging AI to make your models smarter,
Right.
and there's leveraging AI to make your analysts smarter and more efficient. And I think what we are focused on to start is the latter half. We have a lot of advanced machine learning capabilities. Our data science team has done an amazing job building out those capabilities. I think the ability for AI to help enhance models is there, but it's not quite where we need it to be at the moment. Where AI can be tremendously helpful is helping to uncover the insights after the models have run to say, for example, if we're forecasting sales, it can help easily identify outliers and say,
Right.
you should focus on this opportunity in these areas for this reason, or you should digitally target this area because we're seeing an event that's coming up, et cetera, et cetera. And
Right.
enabling your teams, your analysts to interact with that data through even conversational AI, I think is where we see the opportunity for us in the short term. And then in the long term, we do believe that AI can help us enhance models and things like that. But we're focused more on the leveraging AI to make analysts smarter and more efficient side of the equation.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, if you identify friction points and you have the intelligence to remove that friction, that's, I think, where the best use of AI is, in my opinion. Uh,
Exactly.
Awesome. That's all the questions. Erik, thank you so much for taking the time today. I learned a lot. I'm hoping the audience members also learned a lot from this webinar. Thank you once again. I'm going to quickly showcase some of the next things that Sigma's doing. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. So what's next? If you want to hear more about AI, we were just talking about this. We have another webinar on April 30th with three of our customers that are AI companies: Hyperfinity, Astronomer, and Sardine AI. Please sign up for these webinars. The link should be available uh, on our LinkedIn and some of the other social promotions that we'll be doing. The other big thing that we are doing very soon is the product launch. If you have not signed up for the product launch, please do. We have some really big announcement on May 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern time or 9 a.m. Pacific time. I go to sigmacomputing.com/product-launch. We're going to be talking about AI releases within Sigma, talking about data applications, touching on Python dev inside Sigma, and a lot of things around embedding. So come see the future of analytics and BI. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Alec.
Bye.